Welcome, welcome, welcome once again to Words Have Power with Teresa Hawley-Howard. We are so excited for the September Summit. It has been so amazing. The women have been phenomenal, and this one is no different. You're really going to get some insight, you're going to get some tips, and you're really going to look at things differently when you finish this conversation that we're having tonight. Welcome to the show, and tell us about yourself.
Hi, Teresa. Thank you for having me. So I am kind of I have many facets, and so my career has been in data science, but I was always this spiritual seeker. And what I realized after many years of being a data scientist, that for companies to thrive in the workplace, especially with the complexity driven by technology, they need to, for maybe a rough way, get along better, but I'm actually declaring that we need to love each other. We need to love our employees, our communities, even our competitors, to really thrive in business today.
I think that's so true, Olivia, because if we don't, we really are setting up ourselves for failure. I don't believe that competition is healthy for the environment. I don't believe it brings out the best in people, and I don't believe it brings out the best in your business.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is a role for competition for maybe ideas, but it could be within ourselves. Like, there's sports like swimming and golf where we're trying to compete with our own best. So trying to achieve more, but I think the real key is that we want to do it for the good of the many, not just ourselves. So if we're striving to be better for our company, but we have the idea that we're supporting the greater good, I do think that works well.
I do too. And I think that sometimes if you come at a problem, if you come at an opportunity from a place of love, you're wanting to empower, inspire, you're wanting to do better for everyone, not just your bottom line, you will get such a greater reward, and it will go so much further and do so much better if you'll just come at it as that place of really wanting to inspire, encourage, and empower others instead of just, increase your bottom line.
Absolutely.
So I know that you have a book out, so tell us about your book.
So let me just start back. In 1999, I was a budding data scientist and started getting noticed. So I wrote a book called Mining Cookbook that was the first big book on data science, and it became a global bestseller. And so suddenly I was on the world stage speaking, and I was already seeing these more softer skills being needed. So as a frequent speaker, I started pitching topics on the importance of good communication and creativity and leadership, things like that. So along the way, I wrote a book on that, which was sort of an academic version of around love, but it was called Business Intelligence Success Factors. And it was just all the kind of soft skills we need to be successful. It was a little early, I guess. It wasn't marketed well. It didn't really do that well. But I had this gnawing desire to really speak what I was feeling. So in 2014, so around 2013, I started getting guidance. So I tap into higher guidance that I need to write a book and just call it Love, and Love in Business. So, and my book is Love at Work. So we'll get to that in a minute. And I was feeling this strong desire, but I just couldn't figure out what it was going to be about. 2014, I got invited to write a technical book, another one, and I did that. And in that book, I insisted, if I was going to write the book, that I would have a section in each chapter, which I called Notes from the Field, that talked about the soft skills that analysts need, engineers, everybody really. And I'll give you a hint on why in a minute. So that book ended up winning Best of Show at the Carolina Technical Book Competition in 2014. And they said it was because I could predict the need of the readers. So this was another clue that there's a yearning out there for this, that really, I think, generationally, people are changing. So if we look at business years ago, it was very low tech, right? People could swap in and out of jobs, and it really wasn't that difficult, especially in manufacturing. Today, everybody needs to know how to use a computer. So soft skills are more important because we need to be able to, when we train people, treat them well, because they're much more expensive to replace. I mean, I'm not saying that's why you do it, but my approach is not to preach to the choir. I want to reach corporate leaders who maybe are greedy, but I can say, if you treat people better, you'll actually make more money. And guess what? You'll have more fun at work. All your employees will work harder. There's just so much evidence of this. So it's very exciting that last fall I launched finally the book Love at Work. And it starts out talking about all the proof, the data that shows that companies that treat their employees with caring and compassion and their communities with caring and compassion, that they make more money. So there's lots of evidence of that. And then chapter 2 goes into all the evolutionary theories, like integral theories, spiral dynamics, and some primary research I did on generations, where we know the millennials are out there, they're crying for more meaning in their work. They want to work for companies that are making a positive difference in the world. Like, this wasn't even talked about when I was younger. So to me, that's another reason, if we want to really attract good talent, we need to start treating people better. And the rest of the book, and when I was writing it, I didn't really even know where it was going to go, but it's my journey of learning to show up and step into places that were scary for me, because to be in a loving environment, we need to be more vulnerable. So if you know Brene Brown's work, she talks about the power of vulnerability. To really be in a loving, compassionate space, we need to open our hearts. And that can be scary for people. So I kind of share my journey and how it really showed me that this is my real work, is this kind of softer skills in business, because I've lived the kind of, quote, technical geek engineering life, and I can see how this is really needed, these softer skills and this compassion and caring to really survive in business from today and going forward.
I think that's so true. And I think sometimes entrepreneurs, we forget those softer skill sets. We look at the bottom line. We just really think that we have to be cutthroat. Because we've been taught that. You know, we watched business go over the years, we've seen it evolve, and we really think in order to be a CEO of our company or to be an effective entrepreneur, we have to put us and our business first. We have to, you know, only think about the bottom line, not show that vulnerability, not show our heart, not really show that loving part of ourselves, because we want to be perceived and taken seriously in the business field. But the truth of the matter is that you can model your business any way you choose to. So you can choose to model your business with love, with community service, with those things in mind as you hire your people, as you bring them into partnerships, as you bring them into collaborations. And it really will go further. If you have a common goal of improving your community, of improving the world, of speaking out, of being a voice for the voiceless, or of just really loving some people who at times can be unlovable, because we know that I personally worked in the corporate and I know it was cutthroat. There were no friends. You were not friends, because your job might come at the risk of theirs. And so you didn't want them to learn your skill. You didn't want them to help them out, because as you said, you may get laid off and she may get promoted. You know, you were really just after you. And we don't have to have that relationship with our coworkers. We don't have to have that relationship with the partnerships we go in. We can choose to come from a place of love, and it will do so much better. If you look at corporations who choose to love on their communities, who offer great packages for their employees, who really choose to value their employees, they go so much further. The turnover is so much lower, and that affects your bottom line just as much as your profitability does.
Absolutely. In fact, because people have to be more highly skilled today at every level of the organization, that human capital retention is so big in the bottom line. So you're absolutely right. And that's one of the biggest proofs that if you can keep people happy at work, they're going to produce more, get along better, and you'll be more profitable. Yeah. And I'd love to comment you were saying about collaboration and as an entrepreneur. So I feel like in this space of being this kind of corporate love ambassador, I call myself, that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a solopreneur really right now. And about a year ago, I was in a meeting and I met this guy who I shared my vision with. This was before I wrote either book, or my book, Love at Work. And I have a workbook that came out in February called the Love at Work Method. So both of those books are very new. So I met this guy about a year ago, and then a month after I met him, he called me and he said, I'm listening to somebody speak and they're talking like you do. And he mentioned that it was this guy, Steve Farber. So my first response could have been, oh, I have competition, and I even had a little niggling of that. And then suddenly I thought, my gosh, this is great if other people are out there talking about it. So I looked up Steve Farber, and he has the Extreme Leadership Institute. And I signed up and I went to his 3-day conference in February. And I just fell in love with everybody. And he had all these speakers from American Greetings and a couple other companies that are embracing his method for bringing love into the workplace. And I just finished 2 days ago the certification. It's called the LEAP method, and it stands for Love, Energy, Audacity, and Proof. So the whole thing goes into loving people that creates energy that then gives us the courage to go and be extreme leaders. And then we can see the proof in our actions by what happens. So it was just this beautiful group of people that are all, I feel like, family now, and they're embracing me as well. So I'm going to be speaking at the next 3-day conference next February over Leap Weekend. How fun is that? And so it's a perfect example. Everybody there is trying to help each other. And in the long run, to me, it's community that keeps us safe. It's not our bank account or how better we are than anyone else. It's really our support system. So it just felt really great to see that, and that I overrode any fear of competition and just went in and said, how can I be of service to this group? And it turns out that San Diego is kind of claiming to be the birthplace of love at work. So I may actually be moving closer to San Diego in the next year, I'm thinking. Anyway, it's really exciting.
I think that's so true and powerful. When we embrace it, when we really take that to heart and know that we don't have to always be coming from a cutthroat, a money perspective, or even a competition perspective, things will go so much smoother. You will get so many more opportunities, doors will open, and you could have closed that right down and said, oh, he's my competition, I'm not going to deal with him, I'm going to block, not collaborate, not going to support, and things would have gone entirely a different direction. But instead you embraced it. I do the same with publishers. We work on projects together. We help promote each other's books, help promote each other's projects. And trust me, doors open when you're open to loving other people, when you're open to being a part of a bigger picture than just your small little piece of the world and your pocketbook. Trust me, major things will happen. So
you've experienced it. Yeah,
yes.
That's amazing.
So tell us how we can get one of the things that we have to be open to is that experience. I've read your book and I love the book. I love the idea of giving back to our communities, but not only that, of keeping the people who are good at their job happy, contented, and loved, because I don't want to rehire. So I'm all about
it's just
keeping my team. I don't want to train somebody else. I don't want them to know my quirks. I don't want them to know, because even in a small team, I have my strong points and my weak points, and that's why we have a team. And so if you lose a team member, then they have to learn you all over again. I like to be able to just say this, and this, and it get done. And when you've had a team for a number of years, that happens. You get in kind of you get in a rhythm, you get in a role, you know each other, you know what needs to be done on a project. We can meet once a month, do the projects for the month, and I don't have to check with you every day to see if you're doing your part, because on the 30th, I'm going to hear that you didn't, because I trust you. And it takes a while to build that. And I don't want to go back through that process. So I'm all about keeping what I've already built.
Yeah, for sure. And let me just speak quickly to what is it that creates resistance around this. And so I did a radio show on Voice America for a year and a half called Quantum Business Insights, and all those recordings are available on Voice America. And what I was doing was interviewing people in the corporate world that either had great ideas for leadership or just different ways to model business that were more heart-centered. So when I went, every show I would ask, so how did it work? This is for larger companies. I'd say, like, what happened to the senior leadership team? Did they embrace it? Inevitably, it was like a third of them were like, yes, this is what I want. This is what I've always wanted. Maybe the other third is like, oh, okay, you know, but they could be coached to be able to do it. And then another third would just quit because they couldn't imagine doing it. And I think it's maybe older people. I mean, I'm up there, but I've always worked with younger people. But also, if you have a high need for control, it's really hard to be vulnerable, right? So this is what I see as the personal work. And there's industries, like the tech industry is very dynamic, you know, so a lot of the leaders are adaptable. We can look to the more state industries like insurance, maybe even some banking, where people are having a harder time. But for them to survive, they've really gotta, I hear from some of my friends that work for some of these insurance companies, and these leaders know they have to change, but they really don't want to. So it's kind of interesting to see it industry by industry, but it is changing. I think the feminine energy is coming onto the planet. That might sound a little woo-woo, but I've heard this from spiritual people I follow, and this is good for all of us. And we'll get into a balance, because the healthy divine masculine is important, and we need this divine feminine that supports and nurtures and keeps us supported with community and love and all of that, while we go ahead with our lives and, you know, seek our own inspired purpose.
I think that's so true. We need a good balance, and we need to be supportive and to be a part of that change, because if you don't change, you're going to stagnate, and you don't want that. So you need to embrace the change.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you, how they can reach out to you, and where they can get your books.
So my website is Olivia Parr for parrud.com. So please reach out there, or just email me, olivia@oliviapr.com. My books are available on Amazon, and you can get a link on my website as well. They're also available at Barnes & Noble. So,
how great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for, you know, sharing with us your thoughts, your views, and really teaching us a new way to do business. And y'all need to get the book. You will be inspired, I promise you. I have it on my bookshelf now. It's a beautiful book.
Thank you so much, Teresa, and thanks everybody for tuning in. And please reach out and go for your own inspired purpose by loving yourself. Thanks.
Thank y'all so much once again for listening to Words Have Power. This is Teresa Hawley-Howard, your host. Remember, our words do have power. Let's use them to inspire, encourage, and change our world around us. Watch how you speak to yourself, watch how you speak to others, and definitely watch what you put out into the universe, because it is coming back to you. So we want to do everything we do with love. Y'all, just push the button at the top if you want to subscribe, so you'll get every new episode. And this has been, once again, an installment of our powerful September Summit. Thank you so much, Olivia, for being on the show. Y'all be sure and reach out, and y'all have a blessed night. And remember always to choose your words wisely.